One of the ways that I talk about this thing called everyday excellence, and I do that sort of in quotes, sometimes I'll call it mental fitness. That's the title of my most recent book, Mental Fitness. This is my 14th book. I've been writing about this concept for a long, long time. Um, and it's this. I want people to think of mental fitness as something that is just as important as physical fitness. You wouldn't be able to find anybody, even if they're not an exerciser, you wouldn't be able to find anybody who would say, "Oh, physical fitness is not important," right? Of course it's important. It's an obvious thing. Mental fitness isn't as obvious in its importance as physical fitness is, but it'll eventually get there. When I started talking about this years and years ago, people looked at me like a crazy person, and now it's still not mainstream, but there's a lot more people talking about mental wellness, mental fitness, mental health. There's all kinds of ways of describing it, but it's different than mental illness. I'm not really going to go down that rabbit hole, but just to, suffice to say, we all want to improve our mental fitness, no matter where we are right now. We want to be a little bit better tomorrow and a little bit better the next day and a little bit better the next day. Just like we want to improve our physical health, we want to improve our mental health. But it takes this. It takes, just like physical fitness, it takes consistency, intention, and care. And you progress over time. It's about getting a little bit better, a little bit better, a little bit better. So that's one of the concepts we're going to talk about tonight. This idea of everyday excellence is the same thing. It's not about, optimizing necessarily. I'm a little conflicted when I talk about that kind of stuff, because that category is almost become unobtainable with how like wellness influencers have kind of taken over. And it almost makes people, in a sense, I think a lot of people feel like they're not doing enough. And that kind of, introduces a whole nother layer of stress, if you wake up in the morning and you don't have the perfect morning routine and you haven't done your yoga class and you haven't, had your fancy tea and you haven't done this and you haven't done that, you kind of look at it and go, well, why should I even bother if I'm not able to do all these things that all the health influencers are telling me that I need to do? Well, my soapbox that I get up on is this one, that wellness, mental wellness across this whole continuum, which I'm going to show you on the next slide, is a completely new paradigm. What we're learning about the microbiome, the bacteria in your gut, and how your gut makes neurotransmitters that inform how the brain in your head perceives the world, how you feel, how you perform on every level imaginable. All of that new science is fundamentally changing how we think about mental health, how we think about physical health, how we think about longevity, how we think about what a healthy human even is. And so it's a completely new, like, game-changing paradigm, that a lot of what we're talking about starts in the gut. And so the mental wellness continuum that I just mentioned a second ago is this. We're all on it. We're all on this continuum from 1 to 10, sort of arbitrary scale. We're all on here somewhere. In fact, some days we might be lower, some days we might be higher. And the whole idea of mental fitness and everyday excellence is about figuring out where you are and taking steps to move yourself to the right. So it's not about going from a 3 to a 10 on day one. It's a consistent, gradual, progressive process, and there's all kinds of things that we can do. In our certification course, we talk about exposure to nature, we talk about nutrition, we talk about physical activity, we talk about mindset, we talk about so many different things. But one of the things that we really talk about is supplementation, because that can be such a direct, immediate, almost like easy button sort of a thing to meet somebody who feels blah at a 5 and get them to feel less blah as a 6, right? That's a win, I guess, like small W win, because you've moved in the right direction. But that hasn't solved all their problems. What that can do, though, is help them feel a little bit better And now maybe they're motivated enough to get on a physical activity regimen, whereas they were sedentary before. Maybe that little win, going from a 5 to a 6, can help them lower their stress enough where they get a better night's sleep. And then that sort of starts a virtuous cycle the next day where now they have more energy, and then they have a better day, and that leads to a better night, and et cetera, et cetera. So like it's those little wins that we can string together all the time along this idea that how you feel is not just in your head. If you can see my cursor now, how you feel is not just in your head, it's also in your gut. It's also in your heart, which is your third brain, which sends a different kind of signal to the first brain in your head that can change physical activity and can change physical performance and mental performance. We're not going to talk about the heart tonight so much. We're going to talk mostly about the gut-brain axis. But the second brain, the gut and the microbiome, and the third brain, the heart, play a major role in what this brain up here is doing in terms of signifying your mental wellness. And the best part about it is that the science has advanced to a point where we can do something about it naturally to tweak those signals. I'll talk about what those signals are. We can change them in the right direction so that we can move ourselves in the right direction, which is to go to the right side, go from a lower number to a higher number. And the reason that we know that is because of this kind of new research. This is a very simplified way. This might look complicated to some people, but this is a really simplified version of what is happening across your gut-brain axis. So the microbiota, that's the bacteria in your gut. Your gut refers to the tissue of your gut, that actual tube where your food is digested and absorbed. That tissue is doing a lot more than just digesting and absorbing your digesting your food and absorbing your nutrients. It is making neurotransmitters, it's making peptides, it's making signaling molecules like short chain fatty acids and cytokines and a whole bunch of different things, which we're going to get into. And that microbiome gut brain axis is how we communicate all those signals. So you can see these secretions. These are the things that your microbiome is making: hormones and neuroactive substances and peptides and et cetera, et cetera. Here's the pathways. How do those things that your gut is making, how do they get their signals up to the brain? Some of those signals go through your immune system. Some go through your neuroendocrine system. So they might be things that your gut has produced that get into your bloodstream and eventually get up to your brain. It could be across your nervous system, like your vagus nerve or your ENS, your enteric nervous system. There's all kinds of ways that we can get those signals, good signals or bad signals. And if you have too many of the bad signals, this is what your future looks like. If you have too many of the bad signals, your future looks like neurodegeneration, multiple sclerosis, Parkinson's, Alzheimer's, etc. If your signals are staticky, you can have functional impairments, right? Where your tissue isn't damaged yet, but your tissue isn't working well. And those are things like autism and depression and anxiety and stress and schizophrenia. These diseases, the reason I have them on this slide is because this is how we know how the gut-brain axis works. This is not to say that we're going to change something in the gut and we're going to cure Alzheimer's, or we're going to do something in the gut and we're going to change the autism, right? They are definitely related to what's happening in the gut. The research that's done in these disease states shows us the linkage between the gut and the brain. Now we can take this and we can apply it to a real life situation where we're a 5 on that scale that I just showed you before. That person who's a 5 feels blah. In positive psychology research, we would call them languishing, or we would call them burned out. And what we want to do is move them from languishing to flourishing, where they feel great again, or from burnout to vigor, or from feeling blah to feeling amazing again. And so, all this work that's been done in the disease states has given us some really amazing tools to apply to the average person who isn't diagnosed with any disease. And, we're not going to try to cure any disease by taking someone who's blah and help them feel better, right? And that's the real promise of it. Because let me see where I am on my slides. If I go back real quick, yeah, I can still go back. Millions and millions of people are here in this middle zone, which I have labeled as typical, because it's not normal. right, to feel blah all the time. It's not normal to feel tired in the day and wired at night. It's not normal to have brain fog. It's not normal to have autoimmune system problems and food intolerances and food allergies and things like that. All of those are related to what's happening in your gut. But it's typical because there's so many, literally millions of people who are in that category and don't know. I'll go back one more slide and don't know about this new paradigm of the gut heart brain axis. But we do. Like people who are on this call, we know. We are in the know. We are on the cutting edge of this sort of a system, understanding that what happens in the brain in your head, actually those signals are emanating from your gut and going across the axis through your immune system, et cetera, et cetera. So we've known that, what I just described. We've known that in good enough detail for the last 10 years where we can actually take that science and apply it. Meaning, we can build it into products, we can build it into programs that we can actually deliver to somebody, serve it up on a silver platter and say, here you go, client, or here you go, friend, or here you go, family member, whoever we're delivering this to. Here you go, self. If I just described you being in the sort of blah zone, we're able to take those techniques and apply them to a situation where we can intervene and help somebody move up that mental wellness continuum. So I've been really lucky that I've been in places where I could put together a lot of these kinds of formulas and, have them sell well and have them help lots and lots of people and have them win awards and things like that. But what I've realized over the last decade of doing this is that you can put together a blend of probiotic bacteria, like the actual bacteria. You can put together a blend of prebiotic fibers. You can put together a blend of phytonutrients, what now we call phytobiotics. There's a whole new category of biotics now called postbiotics, which I'll talk about in a little bit. You could put all those together and you could develop a product that helps a lot of people and sells a lot of units and wins a lot of prizes that helps with resilience, right? That's awesome. But what if your issue isn't resilience? What if you're not somebody so resilience is basically the ability to handle stress better. What if you just want to get your stress down, or you want to have your mood improve, but you don't necessarily care about resilience, or you need to get rid of your brain fog, or you're just tired all the time, or like those are all different problems that can be solved through different means. So, if you wanted a product that improved your resilience, we had one for you back in 2018, and it did very well for a lot of people. We did one for overall mood. We did one for focus. We did one for metabolism. We did one for overall well-being, what you might call flourishing. And what I've realized over those 10 years is, wait a minute, what if you could put all those together? What if you could take the probiotics and the prebiotics and the phytobiotics and this new category of postbiotics? What if you could put them all together in the right formula? And up until really, really recently, so you could tick off a lot of those boxes and you could say to somebody, how do you want to feel better? You want to feel better in one of these ways, or you want to feel better in all of these ways? And of course, people are going to say, well, all of them, please. I'd like all of them. I don't want to have to choose between lowering my stress and raising my resilience. I don't want to choose between having a better mood or having less fatigue, right? Can I please have all of those? And the challenge has always been that formula that had everything in it would be too big. It'd be 20 capsules, or it would be scoops and scoops of powder, or it would be too expensive, or the ingredients wouldn't be compatible with each other, or there were all these obstacles of why you couldn't create something like that until, where's my cursor? Until now. So I've been working really hard for the last year on designing this, a protobiotic that is specifically geared towards helping people with everyday excellence, which basically combines all the things you saw on that last slide into one intervention. So it doesn't solve every problem under the sun, but it ticks off a lot of the boxes that people are looking for. So a probiotic is, well, you guys have heard of a prototype before, right? A prototype is the first of something. A prototype is the example that all others that come after it will follow, right? That's what a prototype is. So that's what a probiotic is. It's the first time we've been able to combine all four of these biotics specifically towards stress resilience, energy, focus, mood, motivation. And when you can get all of that happening in an individual at the same time, that's everyday excellence. Because everyday excellence is about waking up in a good mood. It's about starting off on the right foot. It's being motivated to go out into the world. It's having low stress and but high resilience so you can handle whatever the day sort of serves up. It's about being able to navigate those stressful situations that are inevitably going to occur. But then it's also about being able to shift down at the end part of the day and relax and recover and get good sleep quality so you can get up in the morning and do it all again, right? When I describe that to people who feel blah and who have felt blah for years, they kind of look at me uh, like I'm a crazy person again, right? Because in their world, that doesn't compute. It doesn't make any sense that you can be energetic and focused and in a good mood and motivated because they probably haven't experienced that in a long time, and all the people that they're surrounded with are in the same boat. So it doesn't sound like it's possible, but it's very possible based on based on the science that we know. So what are those biotics? So a protobiotic has a probiotic, which are the live beneficial microorganisms. It's the actual bacteria, strain specific bacteria. The prebiotics are their fuels, the fibers that they use. The postbiotics are typically the metabolites or the signaling molecules that the bacteria would make. So why not just, instead of giving the bacteria and having it make the thing, why not just get the thing and give that? Right? So here we're doing both of those. We're giving you the bacteria to make stuff, and we're also getting the stuff that the bacteria would make, and we're giving you those signaling molecules. And then phytobiotics, these are plant extracts, right? Phytonutrients that we know have a biotic effect. They might be changing the environment of the gut. They might be improving the barrier function of the gut, so like reducing leaky gut. They might be helping the immune system or the nervous system carry a signal from the gut to the brain. They might be lowering inflammation to take out static so the signals can traverse more efficiently. There's all kinds of ways that if we put these together in a very strategic way, we can get all of that. And it shows one capsule here. We can get all of that into 2 capsules using the right ingredients at the right levels. And that's something we couldn't do 10 years ago. It's something we couldn't do even probably a year ago. Just until some of this new stuff, especially around these very targeted, specialized prebiotics. Prebiotic fibers are typically really big, and that's what makes them they're bulky. You have to give grams and grams. And here with these very targeted next generation prebiotics, we can give a couple 100 milligrams, which fits very nicely into a capsule, and we can get that nourishing effect. We can get that signaling effect at the level of the microbiome, whereas before that was just not something possible. So I'm going to skip over this. There's a video here, but I don't have it set up to play audio right now, so I'm just going to skip over. If you want to see that video, you can go here to 3 Waves Wellness. We actually just posted some really cool science videos today. So I'm going to go through some of the science on these ingredients because I really think when you see this next slide, you're going to look at these ingredients and you're going to go, could I please have all of these? And all of these are in this new Zenith product. Supplements, anyone who's ever heard me talk about supplements before know that I put supplements first in my regimens, right? So my regimen is typically called the Sense program. Supplements, exercise, nutrition, sleep, and evaluation, right? That's what the Sense program is. And it's not that the supplement takes the place of your nutrition or takes the place of your sleep quality or any of that kind of stuff, but the supplement can really help facilitate the rest of your lifestyle program. So the supplement can help you eat better. The supplement can help you with motivation and movement, so you exercise more. The supplement can help with relaxation and sleep quality so that you can get better quality sleep. et cetera, et cetera. So the supplement can be a really, really important part, first step to get people moving in the right direction. Likewise, it can be if someone's already on a really good regimen, right? They're doing all the right stuff. They're eating right, they're moving, they're getting good quality sleep. The supplement can be the icing on the cake, so to speak, to get that program to gain more traction and therefore deliver more benefits, right? So, you know, different strokes for different folks, I guess, right? So a lot of really cool science information at threewaveswellness.com. But this is really what I wanted to talk to you guys about today. We can look, or tonight, we can look at any of these ingredients on the far left-hand side, and we can just go across the row and say, here's this one blend, 4 strains of different probiotics called Bifazin. This has some really amazing clinical evidence. So evidence in humans for overall mood balance. It modulates the gut-brain axis. It improves emotional resilience. And if you wanted to sort of like put a tagline with it, it would be better mood from the inside out. So these 4 specific strains of probiotic bacteria help with stress, help with fatigue, help with sleep quality, help with just overall well-being. So why not just stop there, right? Why didn't I just make a capsule, and my protobiotic capsule wouldn't have been a protobiotic anymore. It would just be a probiotic if I stopped at Bifazin. That's ticking off a lot of the boxes. Why not stop just there? Because of what I described just a few minutes ago. There's different ways of helping people feel better. And if the objective of Zenith is to help the most people feel the best in the most ways possible, then you don't want to stop at just mood, because there's other ways that we can help people feel better. So you can see, I'm not going to go through this whole chart. This chart is also at Three Waves Wellness if you want to check it out. These slides are also going to be posted up on my blog. This video is going to be posted up on YouTube. So you'll have access to this if you want to come back and look at it. And I'm going to keep moving my little picture around so you can. So I'm not covering any of the words. You can look down these and you can go, well, here's the core benefit. Well, mood balance. That's great for the people who only want that. But what if you also want to have better gut integrity? So less leaky gut. We'll talk a little bit about why leaky gut can be particularly bad for your mood in just a little bit. This is for stress relief, mental energy and motivation, overall brain support. That's basically a cognitive effect, making you sort of sharper and better focused. Overall mood state, metabolic resilience, anxiety reduction, neurotransmitter signaling. Those are all things that people who are in the middle of that mental wellness continuum, 1 to 10 scale, they can use any of those or all of those to move up from a 5 to a 6 to a 7 to an 8 to a 9, etc. Okay, so I'm trying to get to a point where people don't have to choose, where they can get as many benefits as possible into the same product. So with this product, we're in pre-launch for 3 more days. This ends on 10/25, which is, when is 10/25? Saturday at midnight Eastern time. This deal is going to go away. So if you want to take advantage of this deal, which I highly recommend that you do, it's 2 bottles of Zenith, which is 60 days supply, right? Unless you're buying it for a couple, let's say, then it's 30-day supply for each person. If you buy 2 on auto ship, you get free shipping, you get 15% off your 2-pack, and you get this. You get a 90-day access to my online community. So the community it's mostly certified mental wellness coaches, but it's also a lot of people who don't have any interest in becoming a coach or going through our certification program. They just want to learn. They just want to hear about the new microbiome study that came out last week. They want to hear about the new mental wellness and longevity study that came out the week before. They want to learn more about cortisol metabolism or about dopamine metabolism, or they want to learn about, how can they do the 30 plant challenge, or, what's the best way to follow the Mediterranean diet, or what are some techniques that I can use to improve my sleep quality, or whatever. We talk about all kinds of different things in that community. There's a discussion area, online discussion area, where you can, type in your questions and I'll answer them, or other students will answer them. There's a whole archive of videos and recorded calls and special reports and all kinds of stuff up there. And there's also live, like this is a webinar, right? So it's live in that I'm talking at you, but we also have 2 other calls every week, one on Tuesday nights and one on Friday afternoons. where you can jump in, and they're meetings. So they're not webinars. They're meetings where we talk to each other. I'll usually share a new study that has come out for the first half of the call, which is an hour, and then the last half of the call, the last half hour, we're talking like, what do you think about this product that my friend is using? One of my clients is a really tough case, and these are their attributes, and what do you think? And I'll say what I think, and other students will chime in, and it's really, really nice community. We're trying to build a community around it. So if you order Zenith during this pre-launch phase, 3 days left, you get free 90-day access to that. And what I'm hoping is that we can create a community of people who are pursuing education, like what I just described, and also pursuing like using products and getting the benefits of those. And then we also have an affiliate program where you can, if you want, you can also represent those products to other people, and you can make commissions on those. So there's information about all that kind of stuff at Three Waves. There's the community. I already talked about all that kind of stuff. So here's what's in Zenith. And before I get into each of those ingredients and how, this prebiotic can improve your everyday excellence, and how this probiotic strain can improve your everyday excellence in some of the ways that you just saw in that last chart, before I get into that nitty gritty, I'm going to go look up here in the chat and see if there's anything up here that I can answer. So, do you have to order every month to receive your commissions? No, Katie Lynn. So, no, one of the things I wanted to do with the affiliate program is make it really super, super simple, where you don't have to pay anything to become an affiliate. There's no weird, what is called in our industry, T's and C's, terms and conditions. It's really simple. You sign up. Once you get approved, you get your individual links for each product, and you can share those links with people you think might be interested in it. If they click on that link and buy a product, you get a 16% commission. Why 16%? Because everybody has either a 10 or a 15% commission out there. All the nutrition affiliate programs are 15% or less. And so we wanted to be more than that. So we chose 16%. We do a couple of really cool things with it, though. You don't have to have any qualifications every month. It's not MLM, so you don't have to build a network or anything like that. It's really easy for people to, if they're on a subscription, to pause their subscription or skip an order or anything like that. So we make it super, super simple to self-serve. They don't have to like get bounced around if they decide that they've, don't want the product anymore. We don't want to be that kind of a company. Anyone who buys a product through your affiliate link it's lifetime attribution, meaning if that person ever buys another product from us, they're automatically tied to you, and so you'll get a commission. So we make it like, I try to make it, if I were going to be an affiliate for a product, I would want all these things, including I can use my own affiliate link to buy my own products, which gives you a 16% commission, aka 16% discount, on your own products that you're using for your own personal consumption, right? We talked about that a lot because I said, wait a minute, if I were a distributor or an affiliate, I would want to get a cool deal. Like, I'll get a deal if I buy two, I'll get 15% off and I'll get free shipping. But I'm also representing this. Should I get an even better deal? And everybody I talked to said, no, nobody gives a better deal. The deal is go get some more customers. And so what I said was, well, let's let them use their link to buy their own products, and we'll still give them a commission on their own products. And everybody I talked to said, you can't do that. Nobody, literally nobody in the industry does that. And I just kept saying, well, why? Why not? Why can't we? And so that's what we do. We, like, if you want to buy your own products through your own affiliate link, we'll pay you a commission on your own sales. Because what we're trying to do is build a community. I want a large community of people who are talking about this new paradigm of the gut-brain axis to improve mental fitness, and everyday excellence. That's what we're trying to do here. So anyway, there's that. So let me see. A lot of excitement here, which is great. I know the 2-pack is for this 10/25 deal. Are we also able to buy a single bottle on auto ship? Yep, you can buy a single bottle. haven't had a chance to look at all the things. Yeah, so just go to threewaveswellness.com and you can see what all when you click shop, you'll go to the Shopify page and you can see what all the different options are. So you can buy two, you can buy one, you can buy other products, but Zenith I think is the one that people are going to be most interested in. Okay, so here's the supplement facts panel that you can see on the screen right now. There's a lot in here. One thing you'll notice is that I'm using all branded ingredients. So I'm not using any generics. Most companies in the industry will use generic ingredients to save money. And this is one of my pet peeves in the industry. You can't do that if you expect to deliver good quality and good efficacy or effectiveness. The branded ingredients are the ones that have the studies. The branded ingredients are the ones that have the good quality control and have the good sourcing. And they're the ones that you want. But what so many companies do is they'll look down here and they'll go, oh, Bifazin. Look at all these different strains of bacteria, LF16, LR6, LPO1, BLO4. Well, can't we just get some Lactobacillus acidophilus or some Lactobacillus plantarum and just it doesn't matter what the strain is. Let's just get whatever cheap ones we can buy from the vendors. That's what most companies will do. And it won't work. It won't deliver what this one does. Similarly, instead of using suntheanine, the brand that has the most research on it and is the purest form of theanine out there, they'll just go buy the cheapest L-theanine they can find. And that theanine might be 50% L and 50% D. L is the active form. D is not only inactive, it can interfere with the effectiveness of L. It can block the effects of L. So, you save a couple of pennies in your product as a manufacturer, you save a few cents, so your margin's better, and your customer doesn't know the difference between L-theanine and D-theanine, so they'll just buy it, and maybe they'll get a benefit, maybe they won't. We don't do that kind of stuff. We have in the bold on the label, you're going to see those are all the branded ingredients. Those are the ones used in the actual clinical trials, and we have them in the product at the actual levels that were used in the clinical trials. Okay, so that just stacks the deck in your favor as a customer and also as an affiliate that people are going to get the benefits that we're promising. Okay, so let's go through some of these, and I'll give you a couple of highlights on what some of these ingredients are. So the Probiotic Blend Bifazin, this is made by an Italian company. You really won't find this on the market. We're one of the very, very first. In fact, we might be the first ones in the United States using this Bifazin blend. It's 4 billion CFUs. That's the level that was used in the clinical trials. That's exactly the amount that we have in the product at the end of shelf life, not at time of manufacturing, like almost every company in the industry does. They'll put in 4 billion on day one, but as the product sits on a shelf or goes in a UPS truck or a postal service truck or sits on your counter, that 4 billion starts ticking down. So by the time you take it, it might only be 2 billion. It might only be 1 billion. If it was stored improperly, it might be 0 billion. So we make sure that 4 billion is end of shelf life. So no matter when you take this, it's going to deliver the benefits, which you can see on the screen right now. Reductions in depression, anxiety scores, improvements in sleep quality, increase in circulating serotonin, all of which is going to lead to you feeling better. Here's another way of looking at it. So here's the strains right here. Here's the background of how each one of these works. So each of these different strains, it sort of does its own thing, but when you put it together in a group of 4, you get something that delivers this. Less negative mood states, so less irritability, less fatigue, less rumination, less depression, and better overall mood and better overall sleep quality. So right there, with just these 4 strains of bacteria, you're dialing down negative feelings, so people are feeling less bad, and you're dialing up positive feelings, so people are feeling more good, right? But as good as all that is, it's only one aspect of overall psychological mood state, of overall mental fitness, of overall everyday excellence. If we can take that and build on it, that's exactly what my intention was when I started putting this together. So when we look at the prebiotics, We've got two different ones, and it's actually three ingredients here. So phytospherics is a phytoglycogen that when you feed it, it helps your body, your gut, make more short chain fatty acids, which are one type of really, really important signaling molecule across the gut brain axis. Short chain fatty acids do everything. They're good. They protect your neurons in your brain. They're good for your immune system. They help with blood sugar balance, so they have a metabolic effect. They help with your gut lining, so they help reduce leaky gut. They do so many things across the gut brain axis. But this specific phytoglycogen has also been shown to preferentially get the microbiome to make more of the neurotransmitters that we want. So more GABA for relaxation, more glutamine for motivation, more 5-HTP, which is a precursor for serotonin for overall mood. So that all of that links up, ladders up to better mood, better cognition, better sleep quality. And then Microbiome X is a combination of what we call citrus flavonoids. It's coming from sweet orange fruit and grapefruit. And so those two Mediterranean fruits, they're really high in particular categories of flavonoids what the heck are they called? Polymethoxylated flavones, like really, really potent flavonoids that can help to strengthen the gut barrier, also increase short chain fatty acids, reduce inflammation, and there's a variety of studies that show all of that. So here's a little bit more about the phytoglycogen, phytospherics. I'm not going to read through all of this. Like I said, this is information that'll be on the slides and in the recording. I want to make sure that we sort of stay on time. So I mentioned the things that it does. Here's a little graphic of it. So it feeds, because it's a prebiotic fiber. It feeds, or it serves as a source of nourishment and nutrition to different categories of bacteria. So you can see some of those families here. I could go down a whole rabbit hole about what each one of these does, but suffice to say that they're all short chain fatty acid producers. And so by sort of eating this phytospherics, they will produce more of each of these short chain fatty acids: acetate, propionate, butyrate, which all have different flavors of signaling across the gut brain axis. But because of that, what you end up getting is you get a better overall mood effect. So this is a very specific sort of next generation prebiotic effect that, instead of generally nourishing the microbiome, which isn't a bad thing, right? You can get general nourishment of the microbiome with lots of prebiotics. You can get it with inulin or fructooligosaccharides or resistant starch or galacto-oligosaccharides or whatever. There's lots of really good prebiotics that are sort of like generally good for the good bacteria. This is specifically good for bacteria that produce neurotransmitters, and specifically good for other bacteria that produce short chain fatty acids. So that's what I mean by next generation, is that we can really give a food that is like a rocket fuel kind of a food to do the things around positive gut brain axis signals specific for mental fitness. And that's why this is sort of a superstar ingredient in Zenith. And this one, I happen to know, we are the first ones in the world to be launching this. So you can't find this anywhere else except for in Zenith right now. Microbiome X will also increase short chain fatty acids. Here's the two fruits that it comes from: this Citrus sinensis and Citrus paradisea. And here's the whole set of benefits of what short chain fatty acids are doing. Look at this list: energy for colon cells, maintains gut barrier, reduces inflammation, supports a healthy microbiome, modulates the immune system, modulates metabolic health, impacts neurological health. So, like, short chain fatty acids are nearly miraculous in what they do. And one of the reasons we're not getting enough short chain fatty acids in our systems is because we're not eating enough fiber. So you could look at this, and a nutritionist might look at this and go, well, yeah, short chain fatty acids are good. Just go eat more fiber. Like, go do the 30 plant challenge and get lots and lots of fruits and vegetables in your diet, and lots of whole grains, and anything that's a good fiber source, as long as it's prebiotic fiber, is going to increase your short chain fatty acids. And that's 100% true. But I know I don't eat, I'm a professional nutritionist, and I know I don't eat as much fiber as I would want to in a day just because of life. And so this is a great way to supplement your body's production of these amazing signaling molecules. Okay. So short chain fatty acids are great. Now we can shift gears a little bit. We've got probiotics and prebiotics. And a lot of times when companies put those together in the same formulation, you get what's called a synbiotic, right? SYN for synergistic, a synergistic biotic. And so we have that. Now we move to something I'm actually proud that I pioneered this 10 years ago. This idea of something called phytobiotics. Plant extracts. Phyto means plant, so phytonutrients are plant nutrients. But phytobiotics are plant extracts that have a biotic effect. So sometimes that biotic effect is that it's helping your gut lining. Sometimes the biotic effect is that it's helping your microbiome make a neuropeptide that's going to help your brain be more clear thinking or sharper or something like that. Sometimes it's helping with change the production of an inflammatory molecule or something like that, right? So plant extracts that have a biotic effect. We've got three different ones, three different phytobiotics. The first one is called Venetron. That's the brand name of it. It's a plant called Opossum, sometimes also called Rafuma is the like the regular name for it. We've known for a long time that Venetron can have anti-depression effects. So if you gave it to somebody who has depression, it can make them less depressed. It can also help them with insomnia. So a lot of times people with depression will also have trouble sleeping, and trouble sleeping will lead them to be more depressed. And so it's always been something that's been thought of as like an anti-depression herb. But just recently, the last couple years, there have also been some studies in non-depressed people, just regular people who have a lot of stress, which is basically everybody that I know. And now we know that in those people, it helps with GABA production. So GABA is the body's primary relaxing neurotransmitter. So if you're stressed out, you take Venetron, it's going to calm you down. You're tense and irritable and you can't relax enough to go to sleep, it's going to calm you down. And make you relaxed enough to go to sleep. It doesn't put you to sleep. It's not that sort of an effect. That would be a good effect for a sleep product, but that isn't what this does. So it reduces stress biomarkers, improves mood, enhances sleep quality. Pine bark is another really, really good ingredient that helps wake up your brain, helps make your brain work faster, can in some ways sort of like make your brain work as if it's a younger brain. So I'll show you some of those graphs in just a second. This is a really interesting ingredient, vigortonin. This is a plant called ephedra viridis, sometimes called Brigham tea. It grows in the southwest United States. I used to see a lot of this when I lived in Utah and would go running out into the deserts and things like that. Each of those has its own set of benefits that I'll show you on the next couple of slides. But I also have a patent on the combination of ephedra viridis and Pinus radiata, the specific kind of pine bark that is called New Zealand pine bark. And I'll show you what that patent covers in a second. So three different kinds of phytobiotics. So here's the Venetron. And you can see here, it lowers the production of different kinds of stress markers. And the stress marker you're looking at here is something called chromogranin A that is secreted along with cortisol. So, if your body's being overwhelmed with cortisol, you're chronically exposed to cortisol, you're probably also chronically exposed to chromogranin A. And by lowering that overall stress response, you're able to have that anti-stress effect. So this is different than a stress resilience effect, handling more stress. We'll talk about that in a second. This is lowering your perception of stress. And it's a very noticeable effect. It sort of like brings you into this calm zone, which I'll also talk about in a second. So acts as a GABA receptor agonist, increases serotonin levels. So you're getting better mood, less stress, more calm, all from this one beautiful, beautiful little plant. And I'm actually going to be here in Japan where they extract this. So I'll get some good pictures of the manufacturing for you that I'll share when I get back from that trip. Here's Enzogenol. This is the brand of pine bark that I've been using for 20 or so years. It's the most pure pine bark extract that you can find. And what it does is it calms monkey mind. So when you have that mind that is just sort of going bing, 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 and you can't focus and you can't sort of like calm down and get out of distraction and into like locking in on whatever it is you need to focus on, that's monkey mind. And exogenol will take you from that monkey mind into this place of calmness, focus, concentration. Here's an example of two different ways of looking at how the brain works. And in both of those, in both of the exogenol trials compared to a control, the brain is working faster. The brain is able to do its job more efficiently when you have exogenol. And part of it is a blood flow reason, part of it is a neurotransmitter balance reason, part of it is that your brain wants to use sugar, glucose, as its main fuel source, and exogenol has some metabolic balancing benefits. So there's a lot going on here with just this one sort of a bark extract. But it does a lot of really cool things. This is ephedra viridis. I write about this in one of my ebooks that you can get for free if you go here, doctalbot.com/level up, that talks about all kinds of nootropics and adaptogens and psychobiotics. Ephedra is one of the ones that I talk about. Here's what it looks like. This is different than the Chinese ephedra that was used 20 or so years ago for weight loss and appetite control and things like that. This is the same genus of plants, but they're completely biochemically differently. This one doesn't have ephedrine or any of the stimulants. Instead, it's got a family of peptides that help to signal the brain what I would call an adaptogenic effect. So it's got this long history of use with Native Americans. It's got a long history of use with American settlers. That's one of the reasons it's called Brigham tea or sometimes called Mormon tea. When you brew it, it releases those signaling molecules and it really improves overall motivation in a non-stimulant way, which is really, really nice. And so what we decided, me and a partner of mine, we put together pine bark and Brigham tea a few years ago, and we're able to get a United States patent on it, nutritional supplements affecting mood state. And what we found in the pilot studies that we did, we found that when we fed this to people, this combination, each one of those different herbals does its own set of things. They could both be called adaptogens, I think, things that help you deal with stress better. But when we put them together, we saw an improvement in vigor. That's the opposite of burnout. So people clearly were feeling better mentally and physically. And they were also feeling better in terms of less fatigue and less tension. So again, another example of turning up a positive signal so somebody feels better and turning down a negative signal so somebody feels less bad, right? Both of those are wins, but if you can do them both simultaneously, then that person's going to feel amazing. Again, it's another way that we can help somebody improve their everyday excellence instead of just relying on one thing and saying, here's this kava extract and it's going to suppress you and you're not going to feel anything, and at least you won't feel bad, but now you won't feel anything at all, right? We're really trying to get very precision nutrition and very precise and targeted with the metabolic pathways that we're modulating so people can be the best versions of themselves. So here's the last one. This is the postbiotic category. So in the postbiotic, we've got suntheanine, which I mentioned a little bit already, a very pure, very highly researched form of L-theanine that we know can enhance alpha waves. These are the waves that are associated with your best brain performance, and I'll show you a graphic of them on the next slide. And then we've got another one. This is a bacteria called Akkermansia, which is like a celebrity bacteria. It's what we call a keystone species. It lives in the mucus lining of your gut. It helps to prevent leaky gut. And by doing so, it helps with appetite because you can see right here, it stimulates GLP-1 signaling. So GLP-1s are the synthetic versions are Ozempic and Wegovy and Mounjaro and those sorts of things that are prescribed for diabetes and obesity and things like that. This helps with your natural production of that. But that's not the main reason it's in there. The main reason it's in there is because it strengthens your gut barrier. It basically reduces your leaky gut, which if you have a better gut barrier or a less permeable gut, you're going to have less inflammation, you're going to have better insulin function, you're going to have better blood sugar control, you're going to have better appetite control, you're going to have better overall metabolic balance. So you put those two things together, and the sun theanine looks like this. It increases alpha waves really quickly. So you can see the time courses here: 45 minutes, 60 minutes, 75 minutes, etc. With just a small dose of theanine, 50 milligrams, you're seeing a preponderance of alpha waves. So that means that that person is getting into this state of what we call relaxed alertness. If I were talking to an athlete, I would say you're getting into the zone where you are focused but not stimulated, and you're calm but not suppressed. You're right there in that zone where you want to be, where your best mental performance, your best physical performance happens in that state of alpha waves. So that's a really nice effect. This is what akkermansia looks like. So here's akkermansia right here. It lives in the mucus lining. This is the mucus lining that protects the delicate tissue of your gut lining, which is one cell thick. And by doing so, you get a variety of benefits for your overall metabolism, for your inflammation, for your appetite, for your overall gut function, your motility of things moving through your gut at the appropriate speed. So this is a really nice thing to have. This is what it looks like when we look at a clinical trial of this specific AKK1 strain of Akkermansia bacteria. So this is a randomized, double-blind, placebo-controlled study for 3 months in people who are overweight. After 3 months, they had better insulin sensitivity. They had lower fasting insulin. So this means their insulin was working better, the hormone that controls blood sugar. Their lipids were better. Their cholesterol went down. Their blood sugar had better modulation, and that's good for your physical energy. It's good for your mental energy. But they also had lower body weight and lower fat mass. So this is I wouldn't say that makes Zenith a weight loss product at all, but it does make it something that modulates your metabolism where it needs to be. And having good metabolism across your entire gut-brain axis, like I said just a few minutes ago, that is going to help your brain work better because your brain always wants a steady supply of glucose. You don't want it shooting up. You don't want it shooting down. You want it to just be modulated in sort of a golden zone, if you will. And that's good for your brain function, but it's also good for physical performance. It's also good for fat loss. When your blood sugar is normalized, you're more likely to release fat and burn fat versus when your blood sugar is fluctuating around a lot. So there's a lot of benefits to having that overall balance in metabolism. So here again is our pre-launch offer, right? I think I went through that pretty quickly. So you might want to go back and look at the recording of this and stop and take notes and go, what did he say about that one and this one and that one? There had to have been something in there with one or more of those ingredients that struck a note with whatever your given situation is. And so that's why we're doing such an amazing pre-launch offer, because we want as many people to try this. It's one thing for me as a scientist to get all excited about this piece of data and that piece of science and this clinical trial and that metabolic pathway and things like that. Like, I'll admit it, I'm a nerd for this kind of stuff. But the real proof is when somebody actually tries it. I say this all the time, that the science is there to take somebody who is an open-minded skeptic to go, well, I guess there's something here, but let me be the judge of that. Let me see what it's going to do for my everyday whatever, right? I'll see if I'm going to be excellent or not. I'm going to see if I can handle stress. I'm going to see if I feel better when I actually try it for myself. And that's why we're doing these specials. So Zenith is typically $99. That's our suggested retail price for 30 servings. That, for anybody who knows branded ingredients and the cost of doing the clinicals and the cost of the sourcing and the cost of the high quality control, never in a million years could a mainstream nutrition company do a formula like this for that price. It's absolutely unheard of. but I already told you why I'm doing what I'm doing, right? I want to get more people educated. I want to get more people feeling better. I want to get more people sharing our story. I want to create a whole community around this idea of the gut-brain axis and mental fitness. And this is a way to do it, right? Everybody's going to benefit from this. So here's what the offer is. You can go to threewaveswellness.com and see all the different options, see the science videos, see our technical data sheet that's 25 pages long with all the different research studies and things like that. But all these pre-launch offers end this Saturday, 10/25. After the pre-launch, it's still going to be available. We're still going to have lots of good deals. We're still going to have commissions being paid to affiliates and things like that. But what you won't have is access to this Ask Dr. Shawn community. That 90 days free access is a $201 value, because typically it's a $67 a month subscription, right? To have access to the community and all the recordings and all the videos and all the special reports and the live calls and the coaching and the mentoring and all that kind of stuff. So it's a pretty good deal on its own if you're paying full price for it, but it's a really good deal if you're getting it for free. So threewaveswellness.com, you can find all the information here. Here's some of the things about the community. I think I've already mentioned all of these. I think it's I think we put together something pretty special with it, and I would love for you to take advantage of it. Last thing, I mentioned a little bit about our affiliate program already. This chart is on threewaveswellness.com. There's a banner at the top of the page. You can click on it. It says affiliate program. You can get all the details about it. It's really simple, like I said before. It's really generous, like I said before. There are no restrictions or complications or any of that kind of stuff. It's better than any of the other nutrition affiliate programs out there. So you can share this idea of everyday excellence. You can get paid for doing that, so you can earn your own success. And I hope you take advantage of it, because here's the key benefits of Zenith: stress resilience and mood balance, cognitive clarity and calm energy, sleep quality and recovery, gut barrier integrity, and metabolic health. All of that in one product. And like I said, we couldn't have done this. Like, even if I wanted to have done this product 10 years ago, 8 years ago, 5 years ago, 2 years ago, it wouldn't have been possible. But in the last year, there have been some really, really cool breakthroughs in terms of next generation prebiotics, next generation postbiotics, next generation, all of it. And so we're able to do Zenith. It's something I've been thinking of for a long time, and I'm really happy that it's finally coming to fruition. So stress resilience, energy, focus, mood, motivation. That's what we mean when we talk about everyday excellence. So I know that was a lot, and I know that was a sort of a fast overview of everything. But like I said, this is going to be recorded. You can go on YouTube tomorrow, and you can watch it again if you want to, and share it with other people who weren't able to be here tonight. Yeah, please check it out and let me know any questions that you might have. I'm pretty easy to find all across the internet. So I'm going to stop the share. I'm going to thank you guys for being here tonight, and I'll see you next time.